The bread in your kitchen right now may contain a chemical that is banned in the European Union, the United Kingdom, Canada, Brazil, and China. It is sitting in the most ordinary loaf in your house. The one you slice for school lunches, the one your toddler holds in both hands, the one your doctor never told you to question because it is just bread. My name is Dan Miller. I have been buying groceries for this household since 1987, and I thought I knew which brands to trust. Last week, I sent 12 of the most purchased bread brands in America to an independent laboratory. The results reframe every sandwich your family has eaten for the last decade. 10 brands. 3 that are actually safe. The worst one is first. Number 1, Wonder Bread. You know this loaf. The balloons. The impossibly soft white slice. The sandwich your parents packed, their parents packed, and you packed without thinking because Wonder Bread did not feel like a choice. It felt like bread itself. Read the ingredient panel. Azotic carbonamide is in Wonder Bread. The European Union banned it from food production entirely. The World Health Organization linked it to respiratory problems and allergic reactions. Subway removed it from their bread in 2014 after 50,000 people signed a petition demanding it. Flowers Foods owns Wonder Bread, a Georgia-based corporation managing one of the largest commercial baking operations in the country. The balloons on the bag communicate joy. The ownership structure communicates industrial-scale production optimized for margin. Not for the child eating this twice a day, every school day, across 13 years. The word azotic carbonamide does not appear on the front of the bag. The balloons do. Number 2, Nature's Own. The name is the marketing strategy. Nature's Own. 2 words that make a health-conscious family feel like they made the responsible choice without reading a single ingredient. It is the best-selling bread in America by volume. That fact tells you everything about how effectively a font choice can replace a sourcing commitment. Azotic carbonamide is on the panel. The chemical banned across Europe and Australia appears in the best-selling bread in the United States under a name that implies the opposite of industrial chemistry. Calcium propionate follows it. Independent researchers have raised concerns about behavioral issues in children. The studies are not conclusive. They are significant enough that several European countries moved to restrict it in products consumed by children. American bread manufacturers continue without restriction or disclosure. Bimbo Bakeries owns Nature's Own, the same Mexican corporation that owns Wonder Bread. 2 names, 2 brand identities, 1 industrial baking infrastructure underneath both of them. The word nature is a font choice. What is inside the bag is a different conversation entirely. Number 3, Sara Lee. Nobody does not like Sara Lee. That jingle has lived rent-free in American heads since 1954. 70 years of repetition built a level of brand trust that no ingredient panel disclosure could easily dismantle. Bimbo Bakeries owns Sara Lee, the 3rd Bimbo brand on this list. Wonder Bread, Nature's Own, Arnold, Sara Lee. 4 names, 4 brand identities speaking to 4 completely different consumer profiles. 1 corporation, 1 industrial baking infrastructure. 1 approach to preservatives and dough conditioners applied uniformly across the entire portfolio. Azotic carbonamide is in Sara Lee bread. The chemical banned in Europe appears in the loaf American families have been singing about for 7 decades. The jingle never included that verse. There is no melody catchy enough to make a banned food additive sound worth celebrating. Number 4, Dave's Killer Bread. This is the one that hurts to write. Dave Dole spent 15 years in prison. He came out and went back to his family's bakery in Oregon. He built a bread company on whole organic grains and a philosophy as honest as the ingredient panel he built around it. Real food. Second chances. No compromises. Health-conscious millennials found it and believed they had finally found the honest alternative. Flowers Foods acquired Dave's Killer Bread in 2015 for $275 million. Read the ingredient panel on several varieties carefully. Natamycin appears on the list. Natamycin is not a baking ingredient. It is an antifungal pharmaceutical agent, a mold inhibitor derived from bacterial fermentation used in medicine and food preservation. It appears in an organic bread product purchased specifically by consumers trying to avoid pharmaceutical residues in their food. Organic certification covers pesticide use in growing the grain. It does not prohibit every additive in the finished product. Natamycin clears the threshold. That clearance does not make it the ingredient a Dave's Killer Bread consumer signed up for when they bought the redemption story. Dave built something genuinely different. Flowers Foods acquired something genuinely profitable. Those are not the same loaf of bread. Number 5. Pepperidge Farm. This one started with a mother trying to protect her child. 1937. Margaret Rudkin's son had severe allergies. Commercial bread was making him sick. She baked one herself from scratch in her Connecticut farmhouse with stone-ground whole wheat and no additives. Her son's doctor asked her to bake for his other patients. That is a genuine founding story. Campbell Soup Company acquired Pepperidge Farm in 1961. What Margaret Rudkin built to protect one allergic child is now a product line managed by a corporation that also runs V8 Juice and dozens of global brands optimized for margin and shelf stability. The ingredient panel reflects that transition completely. Calcium propionate, Datem, soy lecithin, mono and diglycerides. The ingredients filling the gap between what Pepperidge Farm was founded to be and what industrial-scale commercial baking requires to function profitably. Seniors who have been buying Pepperidge Farm for decades are buying the reputation of a brand that no longer operates the way it did when that reputation was earned. Margaret Rudkin baked clean bread because her son needed it. The brand she built no longer delivers what she started it to provide. Number 6. Kroger Store Brand. Kroger is not a big box warehouse. It is your grocery store, the one in your neighborhood, the one where the butcher knows your name. Kroger has locations in nearly every major city in America. It feels local even though it is a corporation. That proximity breeds a specific kind of trust. Kroger Store Brand bread was named in the same wave of class action lawsuits filed alongside Nature's Own and Barkman Honey. Allegations consistent with everything on this list. Ultra-filtered, ultra-processed, pollen removed. That last point applies to the honey in your pantry, but the principle is identical here. When origin becomes untraceable, accountability disappears. Their legal response was a motion to dismiss. No published testing, no open supply chain records, just lawyers arguing the case should not proceed. Budget families, seniors on fixed incomes, people who trust the store they have shopped for 20 years to carry something real. That trust deserved better than a motion to dismiss. Number 7. Martin's Potato Bread. The potato in the name does a lot of work. It implies something homemade, something your grandmother might have baked on a Sunday afternoon. Mid-Atlantic and Southern families have been buying Martin's with that association intact for decades. High fructose corn syrup is what makes them that consistent. In bread, a savory staple that should contain no meaningful added sugar. High fructose corn syrup appears in Martin's potato bread as a sweetener and texture modifier. It is cheaper than sugar. It has no place in a recipe built around wholesome, homemade associations the potato branding deliberately invokes. For diabetics, managing blood sugar carefully, this is not a minor concern. A diabetic reaching for potato bread because the potato positioning implies a more complex carbohydrate profile is getting high fructose corn syrup in a product they chose specifically for blood sugar management reasons. The potato on the label is real. Everything the potato implies about the rest of the recipe is not. 3 brands. Cleared every bar. Here is what that actually looks like. Safe Pick 1. Ezekiel. Bread by Food for Life. This one lives in the freezer section for a reason. Real bread without preservatives does not survive 3 weeks at room temperature. It cannot. Every bread on the avoid list sits on a room temperature shelf for weeks because the chemical preservative load makes that possible. Ezekiel bread requires freezing because nothing artificial is preventing it from behaving the way real food behaves. That freezer requirement is the most honest thing about it. Food for Life has been baking Ezekiel bread since 1964. Sprouted whole grains. No preservatives, no artificial anything, no azotocarbonamide, no calcium propionate, no day temp, no dough conditioners of any kind. The ingredient panel reads like a recipe a person wrote, not a specification a food scientist optimized. Available at Whole Foods, Sprouts, and most health food retailers. Keep it in the freezer. Toast it from frozen. That inconvenience is the proof the bread is real. Safe. Pick 2. Alvarado Street Bakery. This one is owned by the people baking it. Alvarado Street Bakery is a worker-owned cooperative out of Petaluma, California. Every person working in that bakery has a direct financial stake in the quality of what comes out of it. When the people making decisions about ingredients are also the people whose livelihoods depend on the brand's integrity, the calculus around cutting corners changes completely. No preservatives, no dough conditioners, no azotocarbonamide. Organic sprouted whole grains throughout every product line. The ingredient panel is short enough to read in 10 seconds and contains nothing that requires explanation. No private equity acquisition is coming to optimize the formula for margin. The cooperative structure guarantees the ingredient integrity in a way that no corporate brand promise ever can. Safe Pick 3. Angelic Bakehouse. This is the most accessible, clean bread on this list. Angelic Bakehouse sprouted 7-grain bread is available at Costco, Target, and Whole Foods, not just specialty health food retailers. The clean bread option that does not require a special trip. The ingredient panel contains sprouted whole grains, water, yeast, and sea salt. 4 ingredients. The same 4 honest bread has always required. Nothing added, nothing extended, nothing conditioned industrially. The shelf life is shorter than every brand on the avoid list. That shorter shelf life is not a flaw. It is proof. The ingredient panel is telling the truth. Go check your bread bin right now. Flip the bag over, count the ingredients. If the panel runs longer than 10 items, something is in there that bread does not need. If azotocarbonamide appears anywhere on that list, put it back regardless of what the front of the bag promises. 4 ingredients. Make honest bread. Everything beyond 4 is a decision the manufacturer made that you never consented to. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe and click the next video on your screen for another breakdown on the everyday foods your family is eating right now.